Well, this story that I'm going to tell tonight is about, well, it takes place right after Jesus healed the demon-possessed guys in the Gadarenes. And he crossed back over the Sea of Galilee to Capernaum. And it was probably around the same time, possibly right before he healed that paralytic man. So, time frame there. And this story is going to be when Jesus heals a woman with a disease, and also a synagogue leader, his daughter. Heals his daughter. And it's out of Mark chapter 5, verses 21 through 43. So, one question. Well, I got a few. How well do you handle interruptions, like in your day-to-day lives? You've got something on your mind you're going to do, and you get interrupted.
I get interrupted all the time, every day.
Mm-hmm.
The nature of my job is that I'm responsible for all the inventory, and I may be in there doing data input into the computer, receiving a purchase order that has been received, and I've got to tell the computer that we have these certain parts. And in will walk somebody and say, Dennis, where's this, that, or the other? You know? Well, it's probably in a certain place. Well, we've already looked there, or they haven't even bothered to look. Now they just want me to go find it for them.
Yes.
Kind of like your husband wanting to know where the toothpaste is. You know, it's in the drawer where we always keep it, right?
Did you push that aside?
Yeah. That's it. Well, imagine working with a shop with 75 men like this. And then I come back and I'll be trying to get focused in on this, and then, something else happens. So,
it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Today's world, I think you have to learn to handle interruptions or you don't function.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can see them as major frustrations or minor inconveniences. Just, I guess, depending on your perspective.
Yeah. You may deal with it without even thinking about it, but by the end of the day, it's taking its toll on you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so remember that person I asked you to think about a while ago, the person you would do anything for to help them heal. So just keep that in your mind. And I'm going to try to not start coughing because my allergies are going crazy. So this story is actually two stories in one. And Jesus is interrupted in this story. And so let's listen for how Jesus handles the interruption, and also for the different types of faith that these two people have. Okay, so here's where the story starts. So when Jesus had crossed back over the sea in the boat, a great crowd gathered around him by the sea. And one of the rulers of the synagogue, his name was Jairus, came to Jesus. And he just fell down at Jesus' feet and was begging him, "My little daughter is dying. Come lay your hands on her, make her well so she can live." And so Jesus went with him. And on the way, this crowd was following him. And there were so many people, they were just pushing and shoving and trying to get up close to Jesus. Well, in this crowd, there was a woman, and for 12 years, she had been suffering with a blood discharge. And she had heard, through the years, she had gone from doctor to doctor, spending all of her money. And she was no better off than when she started. In fact, she was worse. And she had heard the reports about Jesus. And so she told herself, if I can just get up close to him, just touch his garment, then I'll be healed. So she made her way up there. And she touched the back of his robe. And immediately, the flow of blood dried up. And she could feel in her body that she was healed of the disease. And at that moment, Jesus felt power go out from him. So he turned around and he said, "Who touched my garment?" And his disciples looked at him and he said, "Do you see this crowd around you? Everybody's pushing and shoving. So many people have touched you. How can you ask who touched me?" So he wanted to find the person, so he was looking. The woman knew it was her, and she was scared, but she went to him trembling and fell at his feet, and she told him the whole truth. And he said, "Daughter, your faith has made you well, so go in peace and be healed of your disease." And at that time, someone from Jairus' house came and said, "Your daughter is dead. Don't bother the teacher anymore." Well, Jesus heard this going on, and he said to Jairus, "Don't fear, only believe." So he didn't allow anybody to go with him except Peter, James, and John. And when they got to Jairus' house, they could see all the people just wailing and weeping over this little girl. And when he got inside, he said, "Why are you weeping? This child is not dead. She's only sleeping." And they laughed at him. But he put them all outside, and he took the child's father and mother in with him to the child. And he took her by the hand, and he said to her, "Talitha cumi," which means, "Little girl, get up." And at that time, the little girl got up. She was about 12 years old, and she was walking around. And he told everybody in the room, very strictly, "Don't tell anybody what's happened, but just give her something to eat." So that's the end of the story. Excuse me. So what stuck out to you?
Well, they had faith that they would be healed.
Both of them?
Both of them did.
Mhm.
And Jairus remained faith. His faith, he held his faith, and his daughter was healed.
Yeah.
And the woman, the same thing. He said, "Your faith has healed you.
Mm-hmm.
Go and enjoy your health." So.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you partly, but certainly the lady that touched his garment knew that she had the faith that if only I could do this,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why Jesus said, "Who touched me?" He knew that something, had happened. But with the little girl, I think the parents, did they have faith? I think they had faith that he could heal her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they necessarily had faith that he could raise her from the dead. If indeed she was dead, Jesus said she was asleep. Maybe she was in a coma.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, they had issues that during those days with people who were in coma. That's where the word wake came from.
Yeah.
So, I don't remember in the story about Jesus not telling them not to say anything. I don't remember that. I don't know why he would not want them to say anything. That kind of stands out for me.
I think others believed she was dead, though, didn't they?
Yeah.
Others who were around her.
Yeah, I think that's why they were weeping and wailing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess it could be a question of whether she was dead or not.
Yeah. Could be. Well, let's walk through the story. So what was the first situation?
People were, when he got onto the boat, people were following him.
Yeah. The first person that was wanting help. Who was that?
The woman.
It was Jairus
Jairus was first.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but the woman happened to touch him, so I guess she was the first to be healed.
And that's where we see that interruption, that Jairus had gone to him, and they were on the way, and then the woman came up and interrupted.
Mm-hmm.
So,
He didn't really realize that she had interrupted him. He felt something, but he didn't realize there was an interruption.
yeah,
So
well, and
much.
how do you think he handled the interruption? Did he get mad? Did he just
He
go
just
on?
moved on. I think he just
Seemed
moved
somewhat
on.
startled, I think.
Yeah.
Who touched me?
Yeah.
You know?
But then they said others had been
Yeah.
following and trying to touch him. Whether others actually touched him or not,
Yeah.
I don't know.
We don't really know. The disciples say people have touched you, but
Yeah, I mean, there's a group of people crowding around, you know, it's like a rock star walking somewhere. I mean, you know, it's almost dangerous.
yeah. I think here we also see kind of some of his divine nature, and he saw that this was a divine appointment. So he didn't really let it stop him, and he didn't let him get mad, but he handled it, and he knew that this woman was there for a reason. So he saw a need, and he had
felt
compassion
her
on her.
presence.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was because of her strong faith that he felt her presence more than he did others. I don't know.
Yeah. So when we go back to Jairus' situation, and after Jesus heals the woman, what happens next?
They come and say that the little girl is dead. Don't waste your time.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did Jesus tell Jairus?
Basically, to remain calm, and they would go to the little girl.
Yeah.
And that she was not dead, she was sleeping.
Yeah. I think his exact words were, "Do not fear, only believe." Yeah. So then, I guess he went on to heal the little girl. So here's where it really gets interesting. I want us to compare the two people. I want us to compare Jairus and the woman, because you were mentioning their faiths. And I see some similarities, and I see some major differences in their faiths. So let's reflect, who is Jairus? Like, what was his, his vocation?
You said that in the beginning. He was what's over the synagogue.
Yeah, he was one of the synagogue leaders. So what risk did he take in coming to Jesus to ask him to heal his daughter?
I think that they might expel him from the synagogue, knowing that he had done that.
Yeah, because they weren't really keen on Jesus, were they?
No, but it just goes to show you, if you're in the right situation, you'll do anything to, you know, help on your children.
Yeah, I think so. So who was the woman? Do we know much about her?
I didn't pick up any real information about her
I
from
don't
the
think
story.
that's really relevant
Just someone
about
who...
what her vocation was or what she did.
No.
Doesn't really matter.
No, I mean, just from what we get from the story, she was kind of an anonymous person.
Who had been ill for a long time.
Yeah. So, yeah, you were saying she'd been healed, or she'd been sick for 12 years. And, you know, go ahead.
You would think if she had been bleeding that way for that many years that she would be even more serious than...
But she probably was
Get
pretty
the
serious. I
impression
mean,
in
she's
the
probably
story.
anemic and everything else.
Well, and I don't know if you remember much about, you know, in the Old Testament, talking about the laws of cleansing and stuff. But this woman, she would have been considered unclean. And so she was kind of a social outcast, and people couldn't touch her or be around her. So she's probably been in isolation for 12 years. So yeah, she's probably just kind of tried to slip through anonymously.
to get to him.
So what kind of risk do you think she took going to Jesus?
She took a huge risk. She could have been captured, or I don't know what they did to people like her, beat them or kill them, or just, did they do that? sort of thing to people who were considered outcast?
If they were unclean until they were cleansed, I think they were put outside of the town, outside of the people. So.
It was a survival thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they didn't know what was the matter with her any more than they would someone who had leprosy or something.
Right.
They knew they were contagious, and they didn't have a way of fighting the disease other than stay away from them.
Right.
So that's why I thought they might take extreme action and actually kill her or something. But.
Yeah. I don't know. I know she risked being ridiculed, being called out in front of everybody.
But there were so many people, you kind of felt like she was lost in the crowds.
Yeah, could have been. So, let's talk about their faiths. What kind of faith did Jairus have?
He had faith, but yet I think he may also have had doubt.
I think he had hope.
Yeah.
Because I think he was ready to accept the fact that maybe the little girl had died, and then Jesus said,
Yeah,
do
certainly
not
what she
fear.
was going to. He knew that she was in dire straits.
Mm-hmm. What kind of faith did the woman have?
Same faith we all should have. You know, that she knew in her own heart that if she could just, you know, this is what I have to do, and if I can just do this,
Mm-hmm.
and
I think she believed in him.
I think
Otherwise, she wouldn't have made the effort to get close to him,
Yeah.
near him.
I think she may have been a little scared too. I mean, not just for being the possibility of being ridiculed, but you know, maybe he can't heal me, but you know, I really think he can. You know, kind of struggle and inner struggle.
I don't think she had any doubt in her mind. I think she knew that if she could just, you know, if she couldn't expect Jesus to touch her or to heal her or anything, but if I can just do this,
Yeah.
you know, and that's pretty strong faith.
Yeah.
Well, you would think if she was that ill that she was weak, and so it was probably a real effort for her to do what she did.
Yeah.
So I think she must have had
Might have thought of it as her last chance too,
Right.
similar to that little girl.
Draw energy from within when you're in that predicament.
Right. Yeah. You gotta find it from somewhere. So, what do you think Jairus had to learn in order to approach Jesus? And thinking about his
Difference in beliefs. Or
yeah.
He had to accept that Jesus was who they said he was. He was probably a Pharisee, so he, you know,
Yeah. Could have been.
older than thou anyway.
Yeah.
So, who is this carpenter that says
contrary
you
to
can do this?
his own faith.
Probably had to humble himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He may have been too proud to let go of his position. So yeah.
At the synagogue.
So what did this woman do over the past 12 years to try to be healed? What kinds of things did she do?
She tried to live a decent life. I don't
Did all the
really
conventional
recall.
things that probably someone who was sick.
She had gone to the doctor for many
Yeah.
years, but had not been healed and had spent all of her money on trying to find a doctor who could heal her.
Yeah.
Even back then, they
Can
had that problem.
can you imagine the probably the different treatments and things she went through to?
Oh, I know. Yeah. You know, it's funny, as I was reading for this story, Luke, I don't know if you know this, Luke was a physician. He didn't include this in his gospel.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I wonder if he was one of the ones she went to.
He wasn't able to heal her.
Yeah. So what did she have to learn to go to Jesus? Thinking about all that she had gone through.
She had to continue to have the hope and the faith that she would be healed. And if anybody was going to do it, it would be Jesus. So
there was all these stories about this man that had to be just, at fever pitch at this time because of all the things that he had done.
Yeah.
And so that probably helped her with her faith. She thinks, if only I can get to him.
Yeah. I think maybe she had to somehow find some bravery to get in that crowd, to risk it. I think so. So from these stories, do we see that someone has to have strong faith in order to approach Jesus and ask for help?
I think you have to have the faith to believe that he can.
And we see two different faiths here. A strong one and a, maybe, yeah. So I don't know that I see that you have to have a real strong faith to be able to approach him. Because there's that verse that says just faith the size of a mustard seed. So why do you think that Jesus asked for this woman to publicly confess? Like, why did he call her out?
So people would know that she was well and they would accept her, maybe.
Yeah.
Because she hadn't been accepted for many years, or because of her illness.
I'm trying to help
If
her
Jesus accepted her, who could deny her?
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought of that one.
But I don't know why would he made her call out, other than the curiosity. I mean, he's a human too, and he felt like, he felt that he felt something happened.
Yeah.
Who touched me? So, I mean.
But with all the other people touching him, why did he just feel her touch?
Yeah.
Because of what happened. There had to be some
Just
type of power
just
surge.
by touching his garment, it healed her.
Yeah.
Because she believed it would.
Yeah. Yeah. I think maybe he wanted to be more than just a healer to her. He doesn't want to just be a vending machine to us. He wants to actually have a relationship with us. So maybe by making her look him in the eyes, come face to face with him, that would put more of a personal touch there. And then let's think about, he called her out publicly, but let's think about that in light of the interruption. How do you think this affected Jairus?
I think he felt like they had precious time to get to his daughter, and he felt like that was taking time that they needed to get to his daughter. So I think maybe he wasn't dealing
Patient.
with the interruption as well as Jesus was, because he was in a panic to get Jesus to his daughter so he could heal her.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Jairus didn't know that Jesus would say yes. He just came begging.
Mm-hmm.
If Jesus would say, not today, I got a headache, or excuse him for some other reason. But so when Jesus told Jairus that he would do this, that he would go to his house and see the little girl, then Jairus had to be pretty fired up.
Yeah. Do you think he learned anything from watching the situation with the woman? He probably heard all of the stories.
He probably knew, it probably confirmed his suspicions or desires that Jesus could heal his daughter.
Yeah.
If there was any doubt before.
I think that may be a good reason why Jesus allowed this interruption. That Jairus was able to see for himself firsthand that Jesus can heal and does heal.
And his interaction with the woman.
Yeah, that he does care. And I think now that this woman has had to publicly confess in front of everybody, she now has a testimony.
That she was healed.
And so he's kind of coached her in giving her testimony. If you can give it to me, now you can give it to other people. I think so.
Well, you know, she's certainly going to tell other people what had happened.
Yeah, and he didn't tell her not to tell anybody.
I know, but he did Jairus, and I don't understand that.
I don't know. Yeah, in other stories in the Gospels, he'll say things like, "My time has not yet come," but he didn't say that here. I don't know. Well, that's all the questions I have for you, other than, is there somebody in your life that you think needs to hear this story? And so, just from the last few weeks of listening, do you think you would be able to tell a story to someone?
I think so. I have to admit, I don't know the Bible as well as Dennis does.
Well, we tell the stories anyway. I mean,
even your own testimony of how he's worked in your own
just
life.
being willing to share a Bible story with someone is a witness, because they know where you stand and that you have faith.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty simple. You pick out a story and you just practice it a few times, then you come up with some questions. So, pretty simple. All right, well, that's all I got.